بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
All praise are for Allah, the Lord, the Master, the Creator, the Sustainer, the Provider of all the universes, the one who is in need of nothing, but everything is in need of Him. And the salutations be upon His beloved, the best of creation, the purpose of creation, the light of creation, the life of creation, mine and your Master, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa ashabihi wa sallam, and the salutations be upon him, upon all his pure family, progeny, lineage, household, and upon all his rightly guided companions. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed us that we are present here today in this Masjid Raza to commemorate them personalities who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala selected to be amongst the closest to His beloved Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Firstly, I would like to commemorate and congratulate the organizers of today's program, in particular the brother who invited me, Brother Jamal, and also your Imam and Khatib of this Masjid, Allama down the who said very kind words for me, but I am not worthy of them words, and my Ustad and Murshid, they are my Ustad and Murshid, but I have no similarity with them in any way or form in terms of knowledge or speaking. This is their kind words, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala elevate Allama Sahib's ranks. And I also give them Mubarak for the Hajj result, which I have mentioned that they return. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept the Hajj. And also your guest speaker who will be speaking after me from Burton, Hazrat Allama Qari Hafizur Rahman Ghazali Sahib, down the Batumul Aliyah, they are also present here today. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept all of our coming here today. We are in the month of Muharram al-Haram, which alhamdulillah all of you are aware. And throughout the world, in every country, and in every city, the lovers of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, they gather into the Masjid to commemorate and remember certain personalities. Now, in my wording here, which I selected, I said that those who love Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, they gather and come together in such gatherings. A person may ask that these gatherings are for the gatherings of the Ahlul Bayt, and the grandson, or the grandchildren, or the family and the household of the Messenger of Allah. Yet, those who love Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, only they will take part in these gatherings. Why? Because the Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'at teach clearly that not only do we love Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, but the real manner of our love of the Messenger of Allah is that we love every single thing which is associated and connected with the Messenger of Allah. Hence, everything which is associated and connected or has any affiliation with the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, then it is incumbent upon every member of the Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'at, of the mainstream and majority of the Muslims across the world, that we show respect and adab and love for that which is connected with the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And in this month of Muharram al-Haram, which we are in at the moment, in particular, we remember certain personalities. And mainly this is remembered for one event and for one personality, which we will speak about also and mention. But briefly, I will also mention to you one thing, which maybe is slightly lacking in our Masjid of the Ahlul Sunnah, because alhamdulillah Allah has given me the ability to do khidmat as much as I can of deen, and I go up and down the country to speak to young people like yourself. And one thing I see that when the month of Muharram al-Haram comes, then we concentrate upon the waqia of Karbala and what happened to Sayyidina Imam Hussein Ali Maqam radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. But we forget one thing also, that according to the majority of the historians, that on the first of this month of Muharram al-Haram is also the martyrdom of Sayyidina Umar radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. So this is something as a form of tabarruk for me to mention to you also, so you are aware for your own general knowledge, because my way of speaking is different. As I've mentioned that maybe mine is like Shah Sahib, I'm very different, and Daz is mukhtalif to Qibla Shah Sahib's, and their andaz is munfarid to them. But my way is different, that are like a person used to listen and try to take something on board when they leave, so there has been some addition to their knowledge. So in this month of Muharram al-Haram, though the Mu'arrikheen differ, that maybe it was the 26th of Dhul Hajj or the 28th of Dhul Hajj, but the majority, and Imam Suyuti rahmatullah alayhi in Tariq al-Khulafa mentions the different dates upon which ikhtilaf is done. However, the majority and Jamhur is that on the 1st of Muharram al-Haram, the Yakam, and the 1st of Muharram al-Haram is the martyrdom, the shahadat, the blessed demise of Sayyidina Umar ibn al-Khattab radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, who is the second caliph of Islam. He is also the father-in-law of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. His daughter Sayyida Afzal radiyallahu ta'ala anha is the blessed wife of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He is also amongst the Shaykhain, meaning the two senior personalities of the Ummah, which is Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq radiyallahu ta'ala anhu and Sayyidina Umar radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. And he is also the ijma which has been done of the Ahlul Sunnah and of the Muslim nation is that the two greatest personalities to step foot on this earth after the Anbiya, first is Sayyidina Abu Bakr and secondly is Sayyidina Umar radiyallahu ta'ala anhuma. Upon Sayyidina Usman, ijma has not been done, there is jamhur, there is difference and ikhtilaf also. But ijma has been done clearly upon these two personalities, that these are the most senior and most superior of all men and women. And in fact, when the ulama of aqaid al-mutakallimin have written upon this issue, they make very clear, because they use the terminology afdalul nas. They don't just use the afdalul ummah or any other word in particular, but afdalul nas. And this alif lam is of istighraq, meaning that amongst all of humanity, whoever has come on this earth after the Anbiya, the most superior is Sayyidina Abu Bakr, and after him is Sayyidina Umar radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. So as the Ahlul Sunnah wal Jamaat, it is part of our tradition and it is part of our way that we remember them pious personalities by the date of their shahadat and by their demise. The milad and mawlid is only celebrated of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and the urus and the celebrating of the demise date is of the personalities after the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. We celebrate the days by which they have passed away. And the Sayyidina Umar radiyallahu ta'ala anhu passed away in this month on the 1st. Hence we remember and we must mention them also. Because one of the points is that why should we mention them? Why should we remember these personalities? The reason for this is that these personalities have played the most major of roles in the advancing and the development of Islam. Us reaching to England today and Britain, where we are today, partially why we are here today is, and why we are accepted here today, is because of Sayyidina Umar radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. You will ask how? Because it was Sayyidina Umar radiyallahu ta'ala anhu in the first period of Caliphate. Because the Khilafat and Caliphate is divided into 4 sectors. Is divided into 4 eras, or 4 periods, major periods. These 4 major periods after Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, first you have the Khilafat al-Rashida, the Caliphate of the Khulafai Rashidun, which lasted for 30 years, from Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq radiyallahu ta'ala anhu to Sayyidina Ali al-Murtaza radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. And the final 6 months were completed by Sayyidina Imam Hassan radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. After that, there was kingdom. The Caliphate lasted for 30 years. So the first sector and period of the Khilafat of Islam is the Khulafai Rashidun. The second sector is the Banu Umayyah, or known as the Umayyad in the English language. If you search up Umayyad, you will find it clearly, and known in Arabic terminology, the Banu Umayyah, whose the first leader was Sayyidina Amir Muawiyah radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. This was the second period. The third period is the Banu Abbas, or known as the Abbasi, and in the English terminology, Abbasids, or Abbasids. This was the third sector and the third period of the major Khilafat of Islam. In between the Banu Abbas, you had the Fatimis, which was for a small period. You had the Ayyubis, which was for a small period. You had the Idrisis for a small period. Like for example, you had the Fatimis in Egypt, and these were Rawafid, and these were the Ismaili Shias in Qahira, in Cairo, which was their capital, the Fatimis. And then you had the Ayyubi, which was Sultan Salahuddin Ayyubi rahmatullah alayhi, who conquered and liberated Palestine and Masjid al-Aqsa, and then he was responsible for the destroying of the Fatimids in Cairo also. You had the Idrisis, who were in North Africa, which was the area of Tunisia, Algeria, in this period and this area here. But these were minor, they are not regarded by the historians as major caliphates. So the Banu Abbas, after the Banu Abbas, to the third period, you had the Ottoman Empire, known as the Usmani Khilafat. And in English terminology is known as Ottoman, but in the Arabic terminology is the Usmani Khilafat, which was the fourth period from the Turks who were their rulership. And again, during that period, or just before them, and during the end of the reign of the Banu Abbas, you had the Safavis, which were in Iran, and mainstream Iran, and they were Ithna Ashari Shias, who were the 12ers, what we call it. And today, all this literature you see of the Rawafid came during the time of the Safavis in Iran. They were destroyed by the Russians from the north and by the Ottomans from the west. And the Safavis came to an end, and the caliphate of the Ottomans continued. So the four major caliphates, you have the Khulafai Rashidun, then you have the Banu Umayyah, then you have the Banu Abbas, and then you have the Usmani Caliphate Ottoman. Now these four caliphates all together, they lasted up to 1923. This century gone now, 1923, which is less than 100 years. So meaning 1300 years, this caliphate continued. Apart from a period of 2 years, 2 to 3 years, that when the Mongols, Hilagu, who was the grandson of Genghis Khan, when he did the sack of Baghdad, and at that time when he destroyed the Banu Abbas, for 3 years it was non-existent. But then it continued again as Cairo as the capital. So 1300 years this lasted. And Islam went from where? From a religion which was in 2 cities, Makkah Muazzama and Medina Munawwara. From there it got to where? It got to the area of the subcontinent, which is Pakistan and India and Bangladesh. And on the western side, it got all the way to the south of France. France, we're talking about now, we're assuming that how is it possible? During the time of the Banu Umayyah, Tariq ibn Ziyad, he took Islam to the western side. He went through Egypt, then he went through Tunisia, then he went through Algeria, then they went to Morocco. From Morocco they crossed the ocean into Gibraltar, into Spain, through Cordoba, through Madrid, to the west towards Portugal, all the way to Lisbon, up towards France, Monaco, Nice, Bordeaux, all the way to central France. That's where the Khilafat of Islam went to. This is for your own general knowledge that we live in Europe. Islam is not new to Europe. Pakistani and Indian, Bangladeshi people migrated here 50, 60 years ago. But Islam was here many hundred years ago. This is for you to know as well. And how did Islam get to here? Who set the foundations for Islam to reach to Europe? The biggest empire and force in Europe was who? The Romans. The Romans was the biggest force, which capital had 2 main capitals. They had the Roman capital of Vatican City, which is in Rome today in Italy, and the other major capital was in Constantinople, which is known as Byzantium and modern day Istanbul in Turkey. And from there, the Romans, they ruled all the way up to Sham, Syria. And they had a whole hold upon the Middle East, the Romans. And that was how they closed off the entrance into Europe. They closed the entrance for any force to come into Europe. Who was that man who defeated the Romans to bring Islam and allow Islam a passageway out of the Middle East and into Europe? That man who conquered and defeated the Romans was Sayyidina Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu. Hence, it is for you to know and remember that how Islam has reached Europe today and what opened the passageway for Islam to come to Europe. The man responsible for that is Sayyidina Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu ta'ala anhu. Hence, as Muslims and as the Ahlul Sunnah, we should be very proud that we have such men amongst our previous. Today the Rawafid who speak ill about Sayyidina Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu, even they should feel shameful. Because Iran, where they sit today, this was also conquered by Sayyidina Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu. So the person whose salt they are eating, they bark back at that person, they should be aware as well and should realize that the land that they sit on was conquered by Sayyidina Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu ta'ala anhu. And us coming into Europe, a major role has been played by Sayyidina Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu also. Hence, as the Muslim Ummah and as the Ahlul Sunnah wal Jamaat, we have to remember and thank these personalities. This was the first point. Now, what Muharram al-Haram is more famously known for, and what we remember it for, and what today's program is also associated with, is the waqia which took place in Karbala. And Hazrat after me will speak in detail about the issue, and many of you before me, in fact all of you, have already heard the story and the event of Karbala, that what happened, how it happened, who was responsible for it, and what the end result was. For me and you, one thing that we should know is that why we celebrate and remember these days, and why is our form of remembering different to others. You will have some people in this month, they will beat themselves up. You will have some people in this month who will cry the whole month. You will have some people in these 10 days of this month, they will make themselves bleed and lose blood. They will beat each other up. They will cry and they will do all sorts. Yet, Alhamdulillah, as Ahlul Sunnah wal Jamaat, we gather in a masjid to learn about these personalities. Why is there difference? I will come to this also. For us as the Ahlul Sunnah wal Jamaat, for us to gather in these gatherings and not crying or hitting ourselves is why? Because we believe that Sayyidina Imam Hussain Ali Maqam radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, who is the blessed grandson of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, by him being martyred in Karbala, what message did he give us that we can apply to our life? This is the point that should be noted. Not only do we know what the story is, but by him being martyred in Karbala, and in this event, what was the cause behind him being martyred? And what message do we receive from that? And in brief for you to understand is, that when Sayyidina Imam Hussain radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, the event goes back slightly before that also. Because when, like I mentioned earlier, when the period of the Khulafai Rashidun, the Khilafat Rashida came to an end, which was the period of 30 years. And when Imam Hassan radiyallahu ta'ala at that time was completing the caliphate of his father, Sayyidina Ali radiyallahu ta'ala, he had a choice. Because there was an issue of difference, Sayyidina Amir Muawiyah radiyallahu ta'ala, there were people on his side who were causing differences and causing issues. And Sayyidina Imam Hassan radiyallahu ta'ala, he fulfilled the promise of his grandfather Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, who said, when the message of this hadith is the Sahih of Imam Bukhari, that once Sayyidina Imam Hassan radiyallahu ta'ala entered into the masjid, and the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was talking to his companions. And he sat Imam Hassan next to him, and then he would look at Imam Hassan, and then he would look at the crowd. Then he would look at Imam Hassan, then he would look at the crowd. Then he would look at Imam Hassan, then he would look at the crowd. And he placed his hand on Imam Hassan and said, Inna ibni haza sayyidun. This son of mine, he is a sayyid. Subhanallah. This is where the istilah of the sayyid comes from. The Sadat. Because in other parts of the world, if you go to places like Yemen and Oman, and if you go to places like these areas of the world, the word Sayyid is not used, the word Habib is used for a Sayyid. For those who are from the family of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the word Habib is used for them, and the Jama' Habaib. If you go into places like Sham and Egypt, and even Hijaz itself, there the Sadat and those who are the family of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam are known as Ash-Sharif. They are referred to as Ash-Sharif. And in the subcontinent and other parts of the world, the majority of the Muslim nation remembers the family of Rasulullah and regards them as Sayyid, Sadat. And this is where the istilah of Sayyid comes from this hadith in Sahih Bukhari, that the Messenger of Allah said that my son here is a Sayyid, he is a leader. But why is he a leader? Why? What is the reason for that? Yes, he is from my family. He is from my family. He is from my blood. He is from my daughter Fatima to Zahra, Salamullahi ala abiha wa alayha. But why is he a Sayyid? He is a Sayyid for one big reason. That he will do sulha, he will do compromise between two azim, great jamaat groups, that when they were fighting one another and blood had been shed already, he will do compromise and bring peace between them two jamaats. This is why he is a Sayyid. And which two jamaats did Imam Hassan do sulha between? One was the jamaat of his father Sayyidina Ali radiyallahu ta'ala, and one was of Sayyidina Amir Muawiyah radiyallahu ta'ala. He did sulha between them. How? That the caliphate which he had, the khilafat which he had, he gave that to Sayyidina Amir Muawiyah radiyallahu ta'ala. He handed it over and he said, I regard you to be in a position better than me to lead and rule over the Muslim nation. This was written by Imam Hassan. And then Imam Hassan, he did bay'ah upon the hand of Amir Muawiyah. Imam Hussein did also. So this misconception sometimes the Rawafid bring into us. And unfortunately, we have them people who call themselves Sunnis also. Who call themselves Sunnis, but internally they have Shia beliefs. You should be aware. They are more dangerous. There's those who are open Shias and Rawafid, that is clear for you, because the things they do, you are aware. But those who call themselves Sunni, and yet they have these beliefs, you should be more aware, because they are like wolves, but in the skin of a sheep, who come to attack your iman. Be aware. Sayyidina Amir Muawiyah radiallahu ta'ala an, is a Sahabi Rasul. Clear. All the ulama of the Ahlul Sunnah, the Mutakallimin have clearly written. And the fatwa is the person who has any bad thought about Sayyidina Amir Muawiyah radiallahu ta'ala an, he is amongst the dogs of the hellfire. Allah is also in Fatwa al-Biya. So be aware of that. So Imam Hassan did bay'ah, Imam Hussein did also. Now the issue comes that what was the reason why Imam Hussein became martyred? Imam Hussein radiallahu ta'ala an, him becoming martyred has nothing to do with Sayyidina Amir Muawiyah radiallahu ta'ala an. First thing, to be clear. Nowhere, anywhere has it been written that Amir Muawiyah radiallahu ta'ala an, he was responsible in any way for the martyrdom of Imam Hussein. That is nowhere. Now Yazid, he was the son of Amir Muawiyah radiallahu ta'ala an, but that does not mean that how the son is, that resembles how the father will be also. There are issues that we see in the Quran where you have certain Anbiya whose sons did not accept their religion. That does not mean because their sons did not accept the religion that now their fathers have also become responsible for that. That is not, and Nuh Islam is the example, and the Anbiya example also, where their own wives and children did not accept Islam. Now, Sayyidina Amir Muawiyah radiallahu ta'ala an, he is Sahabi Rasul, but his son, Yazid, he turned out to be different. He was responsible for the martyring of Sayyidina Imam Hussein radiallahu ta'ala an. And what was the reason behind that? When Sayyidina Amir Muawiyah radiallahu ta'ala an passed away, he sent a notice to Madinah Munawwarah, the governor of the time, that you must make now either, well, mainly the main focus was Sayyidina Imam Hussein radiallahu ta'ala an, Abdullah bin Umar and Abdullah bin Zubayr radiallahu ta'ala anhuma. But Sayyidina Imam Hussein, he must accept Yazid to be the leader. Now all the ulama, the mu'arrikheen, historians have written very clearly, nobody has written good about Yazid. This is number one. So the issue here we have at the Ahlul Sunnah wal Jamaat, because we are the middle way and the mainstream Islam, we have the two sides to work on. Like you have the left wing and you have the right wing. In Islam, you have unfortunately the left and right wing also. You have those who are very extreme in one sense, and then you have those who are extreme in a different sense, or even too lenient, but they exceed in that way also. Islam is al-Islamu bayn al-ifrat wa al-tafreet. Islam is in between harshness, extreme, and in between leniency. It is the middle way. So on one side we have the Rawafid to deal with, and we have to deal with them in the month of Muharram also. At the same time we have the Khawarij to deal with also. On one side you have the Rawafid, who by praising the Ahlul Bayt so much that they try to disgrace and discredit the Sahaba Ikram. On the other side you have the Khawarij, who try to credit the Sahaba Ikram so much that they discredit the Ahlul Bayt. But Ahlul Sunnah wal Jamaat is that way, that we Ahlul Sunnat ka hai bera par ashabi huzur, najm hai aur naw hai ifrat Rasulullah. That Ahlul Sunnah is what? That Ahlul Sunnat ka hai bera par. Ala Azrahmatullahi. That the Ahlul Sunnah wal Jamaat, our ship will cross over. Meaning what way? That our ship to take us to paradise, we will cross over that. And we will get to our goal. Why? How? In what way? That Ashabi Huzur Najm hai. That the Ashab, the companions of Rasulullah, they are the stars of guidance. Najm means stars. And the Messenger of Allah, Ashabi Kanju, that my Ashab, my companions are like stars of guidance. And you know that in previous times, that when people used to travel in the nights on ships, wherever they would be, they did not have sat-navs like we have today, or they did not have any other form. What they used to do is to follow the patterns of the stars, and they would get to their destination. So the Messenger of Allah states that if you want to get to your destination, then follow the stars who are my companions. The brief formula. But at the same time, the stars will get you there in terms of guidance, but what will be the mean that will take you from here to destination? For that you need a ship. For that you need a ship. What is the ship that will take you there? The Messenger of Allah said that my Ahlul Bayt, my family, is like the ship of Sayyidina Nuh alayhi salam. Hazrat Nuh alayhi salam's ship was what? That when Hazrat Nuh alayhi salam was ordered by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to build his ark, what was the purpose? That a flood will come. Whoever is in your ship, Nuh, that person is safe. Whoever is out, he is not safe. The Messenger of Allah saying that my Ahlul Bayt, my family, is like the ship of Nuh alayhi salam. So if you are with the Ahlul Bayt, you are safe. If you are without them, then you will not be safe, you will be disgraced. But now you are on the ship, but at the same time you need to be guided to take them. So that's why Allah has stated that the Ahlul Sunnah is what? That our ship is the Ahlul Bayt and our guidance is the Sahaba Kiram. Both combined together will take you to your destination. This is the manner in which both will take us to our destination. Hence we are the middle way. Now the Khawarij you have, that they have tried to discredit the Ahlul Bayt so much that they have written in praise of Yazid. They have written in praise of Yazid. Even today, if you go on to the official Darul Ifta of Darul Ulum Deoband, they have clearly written that Yazid, it is permissible for us, and we should, not only permissible, but we should say Yazid, Mazallah, radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. Written there. Next time I come, I'll bring evidences in one of these also. Then you have the Ahlul Hadith who go even further. And the book Rashid has been written, you are aware that how they have regarded Yazid and given him the title Amir al-Mu'mineen, the leader of the believers. So you have the Khawarij there also. You have them also. So we have to deal with them. But we give not refer to those who are contemporaries, but them scholars who have come in the last 1400 years, what have they written about Yazid? No scholar has ever written anything good about him. But all of them have written that he was a fasiq, he was a fajir. And even there are certain scholars, though in the minority, but certain ulama and muhaddithin have written that Yazid was not even upon Islam. Though this is a view which is small, the majority of the view is that he was a fasiq and a fajir. That he was an open sinner, and he is somebody who will not be given paradise. This is what the Ahlul Sunnah view is. But this does not mean that we refer to Yazid as such, that we point a finger at his father Amir Muawiyah radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. This does not make sense. Yazid was what he was. Now Imam Hussain radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, by him not accepting to give bay'ah to Yazid, as a result of this, it led to him being martyred. What's the message that we receive from this? That somebody who is upon haqq, somebody who is upon rightfulness, somebody who is upon the truth, he will never ever bow down or lower himself in front of somebody who is upon lying and somebody who is upon batil. First thing, his own standard is such that he will never lower himself in front of that which is wrong, in front of that which is opposite of being haqq, which is batil, and opposite of being sidq, which is kidhb. He will never be in front of them, but he will always stand up against them. This is the first message of Imam Hussain radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. Then when Imam Hussain radiyallahu ta'ala anhu went through his way towards where? Kufa. Sham is in a different area. Why I'm speaking to you here now, just mention to you briefly that why the Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'at have the only right to celebrate and remember Imam Hussain radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. Only, exclusivity with us only. Reason for this is, the Khawarij, they have made themselves clear, because the person who is responsible for the martyring of Imam Hussain, that person is regarded as Amir al-Mu'mineen by the Khawarij. That's them out the question. But those who in this month cry and beat themselves and do julusis in different parts, and then their gham and their crying is ikhtiyari, they choose. Is that somebody would say to you that next Friday I'm going to cry for you. If somebody would say to you the next Friday or next Thursday I will cry for you. You would think, what makes you so sure that on that Friday you will cry for me? And these people are so daft that 6 months early they will say, on these 10 days we will cry for Imam Hussain. Crying is a feeling which comes naturally. You do not choose when to cry and when not to cry. If you've got onions there in front of you, then you start crying anyway. But generally, it is something which is an emotion which is natural. And if you are feeling in your heart, somebody who is a Sunni, he will not only cry for Imam Hussein in these 10 days, but every day of the year he will cry for Imam Hussein. Because his emotions are natural. Not those who slept their days when to cry, when not to cry. For them people, why they are not able and why they are not worthy to remember Imam Hussein is that those people who are responsible for framing Imam Hussein and who were part of the conspiracy to martyr Imam Hussein, the Rawafid were part of that themselves. Those who wrote letters from Kufa to bring Imam Hussein out of Medina, the Rawafid were responsible for that. The Shia were responsible for that. And all the books of the Ahlul Sunnah and of the Rawafid have clearly outlined that those people who were responsible for bringing Imam Hussein to Karbala and planned with Yazid for Imam Hussein to be martyred were the Rawafid themselves. Clear. So, both of these conspired together for Imam Hussein to be martyred. Why they cry is that after Imam Hussein had become martyred, Sayyidah Zainab radiyallahu ta'ala anha, who was Imam Hussein's blessed sister, when her and the women, they were crying, but when they cried again one point, that they did not do noha and beat themselves up and cry like in this form, no. Imam Hussein, the night before he being martyred, on the 9th of Muharram, he said to his sister Zainab that tomorrow may be my last day. Sister, tomorrow may be my last day, but if you see me, Hussein, become martyred, do not lose control of yourself. Because remember that you are the granddaughter of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Remember you are the daughter of Ali al-Murtaza. Remember you are the daughter of Fatima Zahra. Remember you are the sister of Imam Hassan. Remember you are the sister of me, Hussein. So do not lose control over yourself. Do not cry loudly. Do not lose your parda in front of other people. And Sayyidah Zainab, being that example of her mother Fatima Zahra, Salamullahi ala abiha wa alayha, that when she cried, she wept, she sobbed, but she did not lose control like these lose control today. And when a man came and he began to rip the earrings out of the women that were remaining, they looted the tents, and the gold which the women were wearing, he pulled an earring from one of the daughters and the women who were with Sayyidah Zainab radiyallahu ta'ala anha, and her ear began to bleed, and that man began to cry. And Sayyidah Zainab said, how shameful are you that why you cry? And he said that, look, I have seen the blood and I have shed the blood of the family of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And Sayyidah Zainab replied that, how shameful are you that in front of my eyes you have martyred the grandson of Hussein radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, the grandson of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You do not worry then, yet you worry about this blood you see coming from our ear. Now I give you a curse that you will continue to cry like this until the day of judgment. You will continue to cry like this until the day of judgment. This crying and beating you see today is not out of remorse, but it is out of regret. Remember this. Being remorseful and being sorry on something is something else. Being regretful upon something is something else. Because those who were responsible for Imam Hussein and his family to be martyred, who were responsible for shedding their blood, are the same people who cry today. But now they've changed the formula. They say we cry out of remorse. But in reality their crying is for regret because they were responsible. For us as the Ahlul Sunnah wal Jamaat, we do not do matam. Why we don't do matam is because matam is done upon those who are dead. Matam is done upon those who are dead. But we believe that Hussein is still alive. And when the Quran states, do not even say, wala taqulu, do not even say, do not even utter upon your tongue that those who have been slain in the way of Allah are dead, bal ahya, but they are alive. But you do not understand. So who Allah has declared as alive, why would we do matam upon those who Allah has kept alive? Those can do matam, they are responsible for their killing. But we, alhamdulillah, the Ahlul Sunnah wal Jamaat, we regard Imam Hussein radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, Imam Hassan radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, and all the pious personalities of Allah to be alive. And they are alive indeed. Hence we do not do such actions. We as the Ahlul Sunnah wal Jamaat, we remember these personalities to learn from them, to apply them to our life, to make ourselves better people. And the message which Imam Hussein radiyallahu ta'ala anhu gives us from him that though he became martyred, horses were ridden over his body and he was martyred, but the message and the name of Imam Hussein is alive today. This is something to be reckoned with. And when Hazrat Shaykh Ubaidullah Harar rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhi, a great Imam and a Sufi of the Naqshbandi Silsila, they write once that I left towards, and I was traveling towards Delhi, which is in Hindustan, and on the way when I was going to different villages, in every village I would find somebody who was from the family and lineage of Imam Hussein radiyallahu ta'ala, from the Sadat, continued. And wherever I would go, I would not find one person who even wanted to be from the family of Yazid. One is being from his family, but one is being shameful to say his name. But yet Imam Hussein's family was everywhere. Yazid had many sons. Ibn Kasir writes in Al-Bidayah wa Nihaya that Yazid had 12 sons. In one it is mentioned he had 18 sons. In different narrations come the number of sons that he had. And every single one of his sons, one by one, they all died without giving birth to other sons. And Yazid's lineage became munqata, it became cut. His lineage did not continue. Yet Imam Hussein, his one son Imam Zain al-Abidin survived. And from him till today and until the day of judgment, the family of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam continues. And this is that promise which Allah gave in the Quran, Inna Shaniyaka huwal Afdal. That when the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's sons, because the Messenger of Allah had 3 sons and 4 daughters. Final points. This is just basic information for you. That the Messenger of Allah had how many daughters? 4. Yeah? But remember these terms, that he had 4 daughters and he had 3 sons. And all of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's sons, they all passed away before they became adults. Before they became adults, they all passed away in a young age. And when the Messenger of Allah's sons passed away in a young age, the kuffar of the time, they would make a mockery, or try to make a mockery, that look, the Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he is abtar because his family has not continued. His lineage has not continued. That is what the meaning of abtar means here, one meaning. That his family has become discontinued. But the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that my family will continue to Sayyidah Fatima radiyallahu ta'ala anha. But the Quran states, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Inna Shaniyaka huwal abtar. That person who is your enemy, he will become destroyed and his family will be destroyed. And here we see, and it is written by Imam Razi rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhi, that Imam Hussein was a grandson of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He was martyred, and the person who martyred him was Yazid, who was responsible for it. His family has become destroyed. This means that Yazid was the enemy of Imam Hussein, and the one who is the enemy of Imam Hussein, he is the enemy of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And Allah states that your enemy, he will become destroyed. So Yazid, by martyring Imam Hussein, has destroyed himself. And Imam Hussein, by becoming martyred, him and his message and name is alive until today. It is in brief for you to understand. So we know, as the Ahlul Sunnah wal Jamaat, alhamdulillah, Allah has given us this great maqam, that we are amongst those who remember the Ahlul Bayt as they should be remembered. We do not exceed. Ifrat and tafreet, lowering and exceeding, is not part of us. The Ahlul Bayt, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made them mahfuz anil khata, not ma'soom. The word used for them, ma'soom, by the Rawafid is incorrect. The word is mahfuz. There's a difference between mahfuz and ma'soom. Mahfuz means protected from committing sin. That when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did that tafheed and purified them, He protected them, that these will not commit sin now. Ma'soom are those who were created free from sin. And the ulama, the mutakallimin write that and Imam Azam rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhi, Imam Azam Nu'man ibn Sabit radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, who is the Imam of the Ahlul Sunnah in our madhab, but he also wrote the first book of Aqaid. The first book of Aqaid, even before Aqidah Tahawiyyah, Imam Abu Jafar Tahawi rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhi, who was a Hanafi himself. But before him, Imam Sahib wrote Al-Fiqh al-Akbar, which is the first book document of Aqaid. And in there Imam Sahib writes that Al-Anbiya'u alayhimu salatu wassalam kulluhum munazzahuna anis saghairi wal kaba'ir wal kufri wal kaba'ir. That all the Anbiya, they are munazzah and they are masoom, they are free, they are pure from committing any sin, small or big. From small or big, any sin they are masoom. But Those who Allah selects amongst the ummah of Rasulullah, He makes them mahfuz. So the Ahlul Bayt Allah has made mahfuz, but the Anbiya Allah has made masoom. So be aware of these aqaid also, and remember these beliefs also. And we as the Ahlul Sunnah wal Jamaat, the Sahaba Ikram are our stars of guidance, and the Ahlul Bayt is our ship of protection which will take us to our destination. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us all the ability, me and you, and every single one of us, to be loyal to our creed of the Ahlul Sunnah wal Jamaat. Without this, there is nothing. Remember this, all of you. This is my message to all of you, that without this, this is your identity. This is what you are. This is what has given you an identity. Imam Hussein radiallahu ta'ala, he gave his life for the identity which he received. And for us, it is our identity is this. And the correct way is this. There is no two ways in this. There is no two paths in this. There is only one way. And that is what we are on. And the way in which the ulama of the Ahlul Sunnah wal Jamaat teach you and inform you, your aima, your khutabab, the scholars, how they inform you, this is the correct manner and how Islam has been portrayed to us. Remember this will give you light in this life, this will give you light in your grave also. And this will give you light in the hereafter. Sayyidina Umar radiallahu ta'ala and Sayyidina Abu Bakr, who I mentioned at the beginning, I will finish at this point. That once the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he walked into the masjid, and on his right side was Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq. On his left side was Sayyidina Umar radiallahu ta'ala. And the Sahaba Ikram saw and they became amused and joyous that looking at this great scene that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is entering, on one side is Abu Bakr, on the other side is Umar. Then the Messenger of Allah held their hand and said, "Be aware, O people, that I, Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, will enter into the plain of Mahshir and on the day of judgment in this same way, that Abu Bakr will be on my right and Umar will be on my left. Abu Bakr will be on my right and Umar will be on my left." So those who we speak about today, we are sure that they will do our shafaat for us on the day of judgment also. Imam Hussein radiallahu ta'ala, he is what? He is the leader of the youth of paradise. When we want to go to paradise, the youth, and every person will go there young. Every person will go there young. And if you want to enter into paradise, then those who are Sayyida Shababi Ahl al-Jannah, that those who are the leaders of the youth of paradise, we cannot enter into paradise without being loyal to them. So if you want to receive paradise, be loyal to those who are the leaders of paradise. Be loyal to those who have the keys of paradise. Then Allah will give you respect in this world, and Allah will give you respect in the hereafter. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us all the ability to be loyal to our creed, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala fill our hearts with the love of the Ahlul Bayt and the love of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. If I have said anything which I have made a mistake, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive me, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rectify me and all of us, and give us the ability to fill our hearts with the love of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Wa ma alayna illa al-balagh.